In Totalwar Warhammer 3, we'll be venturing to some of the most deadly and mysterious regions of the Warhammer Fantasy Battles universe. In Warhammer 1, we were in the Old World. In Warhammer 2, we ventured to the New World, within Lustria and Nagarond. In Warhammer 3, we'll be venturing to Kislev, to the very top and west underneath the Chaos Realms, who have been the bulwark of humanity, keeping the human civilization safe from the constant chaos incursion. But to the east, we have the mysterious, private and very ancient civilization of Grand Cathay. Beyond the mortal and humanoid realms, we can also travel to and play within the Chaos Realms themselves. 4 ruinous powers seek to rule over this place, ever seeking to slip their bonds. We have Nurgle, the Plague God, Slanesh, the Lord of Excess, Tzeentch, the Changer of Ways, and Khorne, the God of Blood, Slaughter and Rage. The inclusions of areas like the Chaos Realms has given us the opportunity to showcase the most visually distinct gameplay in Total War history. It's also allowed the design teams to really experiment and innovate with new gameplay features such as the survival battles, which really accentuates the horror and majesty of these demonic realms. The focus on the eastern fringes of the map has really allowed us to explore never before seen races in such detail in any Warhammer IP.
The overall philosophy has been to really mirror the asymmetry that you see in the tabletop game that Games Workshop have created, and that provides a lot of fun as players work out what are the strengths and weaknesses of all the races and how to use those in their favour. We've really looked to push the variety in this game, both in terms of the gameplay variation, the mechanics available for each of the races, and the content of each of those races, the rosters, the units, the heroes, the spells. Kislev have a quite conventional style with their army. They're built around rock-solid line infantry. And the good thing about their line infantry is a lot of it is hybrid infantry, so not only is it awesome in melee combat, but they have powerful missile weapons as well, which allow them to thin the enemy as they approach. They're bolstered by the Patriarch characters who will stand behind them and have a variety of support abilities, which will enhance the infantry's ability to hold the line. Alongside those, we have Ice Witches and Frost Maidens using the Law of Ice and the Law of Tempest, which are 2 very powerful spell laws with a wide variety of spells, both for killing the enemy, debuffing the enemy, buffing their own troops. And they're supported by artillery, a wide variety of cavalry as well, including bear cavalry. Khorne, a fairly simple faction to play in terms of the concept behind it. They don't have magic to use, they have very few missile units, but they do have innate magic resistance. The idea behind them is to get on the front foot, to approach the enemy and to get stuck into hand-to-hand combat. And doing that will fuel their powerful army abilities, which will help them to achieve victory. It's blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne.
The thought behind survival battles is we really wanted to get the players immersed in the realm of chaos. So once you've invaded it, you're basically going up to one of the Chaos God's backyards and you're trying to kick the door in, essentially. We really wanted to show off the scale of that, be it with the map, the amount of units that you're fighting against, and the tools that you have in your arsenal to defeat them. This also gave us the opportunity to add in new features, such as building defensive structures, allowing your units to be summoned within battle, and you can upgrade and replenish them. We're also hoping that when players go into these battles, use all these new features, they can overcome the horde of demons that attack them and, really come away with a great sense of accomplishment, knowing that you've bested one of the Chaos God's armies.
The artistic philosophy has kind of been bigger, better, badder in terms of the way we've kind of developed the art. Everything is kind of done at a grander scale. It's done to be much more gruesome, it's done to be much more interesting and exciting. Especially with a lot of the new races coming in, we really want to make sure that we differentiate the game from the first 2 games, whilst also making sure that it fits within the same universe and feels part of the trilogy. The Elemental Bear was a really interesting character. We did originally look at how can we approach it. Should it be done in a more ethereal look? So should it be more ghostly, more spell-based? Or should it be much more of a physical entity? Is it something that is physically created, or is it something that is generated by the army or via a spell? And so we came up with a nice compromise where a spell is cast and then the unit kind of comes together out of a pile of snow and trees and rocks from the ground, and it turns into this massive entity basically, which is just capable of crushing vast swaths of units. And I think both us and Games Workshop were really happy with the approach, especially once we handed it to the animation team and really saw it moving. It's something unlike anything any players have seen before in game. In contrast to the Elemental Bear, for Khorne we've got the Bloodthirster, who is very much an equivalent in terms of the size. They're both quite ginormous, both quite massive, running around with an axe and a whip. And when you imagine these kind of units both attacking each other in battle, and you see these humanoid units running around, scurrying around their legs, you get this feeling from an old kaiju movie of these huge, monstrous units taking each other on, and it really emphasises the scale difference between the races and the factions that we're going for this time around in this game. From an artistic point of view, we really want players to take away how big and bold we've really taken the franchise with this third game. We're really going to introduce quite a lot of new characters, quite a lot of interesting and diverse visual identity, which will really separate this from the first two games. From the gameplay point of view, we really want to show that we've taken the experience that players are familiar with from Warhammer 1 and 2 and really polished it and refined it, whilst also introducing some nice little surprises in there that will really make it the best plain Total War Warhammer game we've ever made.